is horrendous. Oh, hello. Welcome to another episode of High Key Book Club. I'm so glad that you could join us today.
We're on a regular schedule now.
Are we?
I guess.
Okay.
For 2 weeks in a row.
Awesome. It's like season 2.5.
What? I thought it was just season 2.
Yeah, well, we had started season 2 and then took a long hiatus.
Oh, we did?
And then, yes.
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh, well, anyway, my name's Cameron.
I'm Zelenny.
And we formed the completion of High Key Book Club. And, yep.
Yeah, we just talk about random stuff now instead of whatever, movies and TV. But we still talk a lot about movies and TV because that's a lot of what we do, right? Or what I do.
Yes.
I shouldn't say we. Me. So, you know why I picked this background?
I don't.
Oh, well.
Wait, let me see. What is this? What is that? Oh, okay. Yeah. So I guess it's an anime that we've been getting into lately.
Yes.
By your recommendation.
Mine?
Yes.
Well, and like the whole world.
Do you need to come over here? Or
yeah, a little bit. Put the mic.
There you go.
Okay, is the mic good?
Yeah, looks great.
Okay. Well, yeah, so we're in an anime city because anime is in right now for 2020.
At first, I was like, is that Austin? Is that Austin up there?
Oh my
Or is
God.
that Houston?
Oh, no.
No.
It's whatever Sailor Moon aesthetic town city thing.
Have you ever watched Sailor Moon?
Yeah, I hadn't actually. I just knew the aesthetic and liked it but as an outsider. But I've noticed like anime is really in right now. Like it's like mainstream. It's like the time for the weebs to flourish, you know.
Yeah, I've yet to see that. So for some
Well,
reason,
I have
Zelenny thinks
evidence.
that the latest trend of 2020 now is anime aesthetic.
I have evidence. So I think it's Dua Lipa's fault. Or at least
Because of that music video that she released?
The music video for Physical had like anime elements. And
But it was short, really short bits.
No, but it was important and it gave it a whole aesthetic. And it's like, it's not just anime. It's like that grainy 90s anime aesthetic that's in specifically. And I noticed that. And I decided to watch Sailor Moon because a makeup brand called Color Pop released a new makeup palette and collection inspired by Sailor Moon that sold out right away, so I forgot to get it, but it's fine. I hadn't even watched it yet, so I felt like a fake fan if I got it.
Well, so we went to Ulta yesterday trying to look for this makeup palette and did not find it, but
I was pretty sure they weren't going to have it because usually that stuff is like online only, and they didn't have it, and it's okay, but
Zelenny did find a juicy perfume that she wants me to buy for her.
It's true. It smelled really good, and the packaging looked like a juice box, but it was gold, and it was so cute.
Oh.
Right? Did you think it was cute?
I mean, it was interesting, I guess. Not personally. Like, I tend to be more for the refined, very minimal kind of perfume packaging.
I liked it. I thought it was
container.
So cute. I liked it, and I like the smell.
I mean, it fit their name, though, so it made sense.
Right, even though they've never done juice stuff before. But anyway, yeah, so that's Exhibit 2.
So I don't know what I should get for you. Should I get you the palette, or should I get you the juice box? The gold juice box.
The palette, but I don't know when it's restocking, so maybe the juice box in the meantime.
Oh, is it already sold out?
It's sold out immediately.
Oh, man. This happened to you the other day, too. You were, like, on the wait list for something to get restocked, and then, 8 minutes went by.
I wasn't on the wait list. I was, I put on tweet notifications for this game company.
Tweet notifications? What are even those?
What
are those?
You just get notified when someone tweets. I have it. I have only 3. I have only 2 main ones. Lady Gaga and Tame Impala are my only people with tweet notifications on. And now this game company, because I'm waiting for a restock of some tarot cards, it's a game called Sayonara Wild Hearts, and it's really good. Shout out to Sleepy Toadstool Reviews.
Oh, okay.
.com
and Queen Latifah.
Well, yeah, Queen Latifah's the narrator voice.
Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Do we have a monster
Lena.
trying to break into the studio
Lena.
at High Key
She
Book Club
always wants
Studios?
to come
No,
be on the podcast.
stay away.
Lena.
So while she's trying to attract Lena, I will mention that so we've moved around our desk chairs to be part of our studio now, and for some reason, ever since I've moved my chair out here to be part of the studio, when the studio is not in use, which is the majority of the time, and when we're out away doing our things, our Lena wants to now lay on particularly my chair, the cushion of my chair.
Yeah.
So now I had to spend a lot of time last session cleaning it off in order to get ready, and then I had to put a towel over it. So I have the towel off to the side now. I took it off, but I thought the towel would deter her personally.
Yeah, I thought that too.
But it didn't. She was like, "Okay, I'll just rest on top of this towel." And then what's crazy is like the towel is white, and most of her hair seems to be white, and so I can't see it at all, but it's there. So, and then I was crazy, and I almost sat on the towel.
Yeah, I was like, just move the
I wasn't
towel.
thinking
That's
of
the
taking it
point.
off, so.
And he was like, "What am I gonna do? It's all hairy." And it's
I just didn't want to touch it.
Well, you took out the towel. It's fine.
I did.
But yeah, Lena's obsessed with being on the studio
It's
chair.
a comfortable studio chair. What can I say?
I guess so.
I feel like oh god, I'm already forgetting his name. PewDiePie. He's got it like his special chair.
Oh right. Well, that's all he does. He can just talk on his chair, and that's it.
Yeah, true.
But anyway, so I just gave 2 good examples how anime is in.
It's okay.
Dua Lipa and then the makeup. And then I've seen a lot of like fashion with anime on it. Like drag queens and stuff I follow that have like anime girls like on there. Mostly like pornographic too.
Ew.
That's like a
No,
genre.
I realize, but ew.
Well, I mean it's edgy, I guess. But yeah, so I've seen it everywhere. I think it's just in this aesthetic, grainy, all that. So that's why that's the background today. And we started watching Sailor Moon, and we're enjoying it. What do you
definitely.
think?
Well, so it reminds me of these like late night escapades in like when I was 10 to 14 years old, where I'd go visit my dad every other weekend for childcare or whatever, and so I was with a step family, and my stepbrother, like half of the time I'd go visit, he'd be doing the same thing with his father. So I would spend the weekend like kind of by myself, just hanging out on the computer with cable TV on, and I would stay up until in his room, and I would stay up until 3 or 4 in the morning just with Cartoon Network, which would be Adult Swim usually on the weekend late at night, and then also just roaming around on the internet. And also like weirdly, I was also into Photoshop and like doing Photoshop things late at night like that. And so anyway, a lot of times late at night on Adult Swim, Cartoon Network, they would have old anime playing, a lot of it being dubbed, right? And so Detective Conan's one of those example shows that I learned that way. And I feel like Sailor Moon was probably also came on, but I'd like turn to the channel or something because I wasn't interested.
Girly.
I thought it was too girly or something, but anyway.
It's pretty girly, but it's
it
amazing.
is. But now like I can appreciate it more. I think I can understand it better, and it just reminds me of that aesthetic. Like even the music is very that Dragon Ball Z era. Like it has a lot of Dragon Ball Z vibes to me in terms of its aesthetic and how just the anime style itself is approached.
It's like a girly version.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And so, yeah, that's just interesting. So I think just the overall vibe, the overall aesthetic of it, it's it's not just the style of the anime, but in terms of its drawing and visuals, but the music of it too. It's very it just reminds me of that period in my life.
It's pretty comforting to me, like because it's also very like. Well, we're only like 4 episodes in, but like every episode kind of follows the same template, and it's very like kind of simple, but like I don't know. I feel like so much of the time of the whole episode is taken with the intro, the outro, and the transformation of her. Yeah. So it's like you know what to expect. I don't know. It's very routine in those ways, like having that long intro, the long outro. I don't know. So I find that comforting. But also the aesthetic is everything. Like I see why it's in right now, and like I see its influence in a lot of things. Like I feel like right now, like the whole pink and like, you know, maximalist vibe is in. But maybe it's just me because like I like that.
I'm just surprised. I thought that I would never watch Sailor Moon or get into it, and
it was a little before our time.
It was.
Because
I was born the year that the manga started.
Like we were born around that time, or I was born after it. So we were more like Pokemon. Grew up with Pokemon.
Yeah, the next gen.
I've also noticed Sailor Moon is more like teen. It's definitely tailored towards teens. Like the subject matter is a little more mature than like a kid's anime. Like,
well, interesting.
It's definitely like teen love, and like she just had one of these first 2 episodes was about her like having like an eating disorder and like being obsessed with being skinny and stuff. So it feels more like teen issues kind of, rather than like Pokemon where he's 10 and you like, if you're a kid around that time you relate more. But yeah, like I feel like you had to be a teen in the 90s to like, those are the main Sailor Moon fans.
Yeah, makes sense. The animation is so awesome. I really like the kind of movement of it, and
it's just so different from like
cool
cartoons here, right?
Very
like
different.
It's so different. It's so cool to just see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's very artistic.
Yes.
But of course, what is kind of the great miracle, I guess, of Japan and their whole like media flow is how so much of their media seems to be rooted and based in the hand-drawn element first and foremost of storytelling, and then that adaptation. And so what I was reading about, kind of briefly trying to just wrap my head around the phenomena of Sailor Moon is, or at least how it started, was that it was kind of one of the first of a manga that's one of many featured in a, I guess, kind of like a anthology series that's been going on for a long time. And it was one of the first in this anthology that was trying to like increase the seriousness of the overall material within this anthology, and make it a more fantasy as opposed to just about first love for that target demographic.
So you were reading about this, about the background of Sailor Moon, and how it came from like that target demographic of young girls not having, or only getting content related to love and stuff like that, more realistic.
Exactly.
And this was like kind of the first time that fantasy was integrated.
Yep, exactly. And also that they specifically developed this manga with the intention of being produced as an anime as well.
That's cool.
So that was like very upfront, I believe, in it all too. And I mean, apparently it's just Wikipedia, but they said that to this date, like the global merchandise sales from Sailor Moon's been up to $13 billion.
Well, I was saying like it probably increased a few million with the ColourPop for this makeup collection, because it was a big collection. It was like lipsticks, eye stuff, everything.
Man, I just can't, like, what a valuable IP. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's really making a comeback too. It's having its moment.
So that's really cool. So I guess that's the most recent thing on our plate. Zelenny's been trying to get me to watch this show, which is currently paused on our television.
Let's talk about that. Well, I want to talk about in general.
How did you even hear about it?
I guess people at work, maybe.
Oh,
Lena. Oh my God, she's on the table.
Good.
Okay.
She was like, this lap is not doing it for me.
She's on the table rubbing against the laptop.
Okay.
So I want to talk about in general Netflix right now.
Okay.
And like how it's kind of made a comeback for me as well.
Really?
This year. Kind of. I mean, I've just been watching it. I feel like I hadn't watched Netflix at all last year, except for like Stranger Things season 3. Like I barely opened Netflix ever. And then 2020 came around, and like there was just quite a few shows that had buzz and like a lot of like interesting like promos when you open it. Like before, like last year, I would never like pay attention. Well, I wasn't opening it as much, and also I wouldn't pay attention to like the promos that when you open it up for new shows, I guess.
Which, by the way, they now have changed the settings for that. Did you hear about that?
No.
Oh, well, so you know how it has like an autoplay for all of their new features that they put immediately on the top? Or like for anything? Like instead of having that autoplay where it goes into video, it's like now they change the settings so you can go into your settings. Yeah, you can go to your settings and you can turn that off.
I've been wanting that forever.
Yeah, well, that's how I knew about it because it became news for a second.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't hear about it. I didn't hear it.
You must not watch Spectrum News in Austin.
Yeah, I don't. But I would think Twitter would be happy about that. But yeah, so I've just been opening it more. I mean, obviously The Circle is a huge...
We talked about that in our last episode.
Yeah, we talked about that. And it's like a really interesting show, and it has a lot of buzz, which reality shows, like, I feel like that's more rare. Or, like, compared to the amount of reality shows that are out there, it's rare to have one that has a lot of buzz and, like, people saying, oh, my God, you have to watch it kind of thing. But, yeah, lately... I talked a little bit about Next in Fashion, which is like a Project Runway type show, which I enjoyed it. I talked about the negatives in the other episode, that they were in teams mainly, but it was still really well produced. And the hosts were really good compared to like Carly Kloss and like the other judges on Project Runway are kind of like not, they don't have that much personality to me. I love Christian Siriano, who replaced Tim Gunn, but everyone else is a little like robotic or something. I don't know, but the two hosts, it was Tan France and Alexa Chung, or I don't know her. She's like a model or a designer. I don't really know, but she's really funny. And they did a good job hosting. So that's another one I saw on Netflix. I also watched another one with a big buzz, which to me is also a reality show. They just don't call it that because they desaturate it. But Cheer. Yeah, Cheer is a reality show. Like, come on. I mean, yeah, it's a docuseries, but what's the difference?
The difference is that the competition itself that is within the show is not artificial.
No, but there's plenty of reality shows that are not competitions. Like the Kardashians or...
Well, yeah, but like it's still produced like in an artificial setting, like the...
Well, but
and like
supposedly it's not.
Yeah, no, they definitely have gags where like they say like, I'm sure that they produce like where they're going to go and where they're going to end up eating and all that kind of stuff. And
yes, but also...
It's not like that for the Cheer.
Yeah, I get it. But also, it's a reality show. Like... It's a tasteful one, let's say. Whatever.
Tasteful?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So Cheer also has a lot of buzz. I feel like Netflix put a lot of PR money behind it because they were like on Ellen.
Oh, Cheer?
Yeah, okay. They're at Fashion Week, you know, like they're everywhere. But
I didn't know that.
If you haven't heard of it, it's about a collegiate cheer team in Corsicana, Texas, which is near us, I guess. Near Dallas. I don't know, around there. And they're like...
It's like East Dallas has all of the dance.
Like Alyssa Edwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one, too. That was a good Netflix show. Alyssa Edwards, like, dance moms, basically. See, was that a docuseries or was that a reality show?
I barely remember.
Okay, well...
all I remember is, like, one shot of... like Alyssa during an interview. I don't remember what it was about at all.
Well, it was like Dance Moms, except Alyssa Edwards as like out of drag was the teacher instead of Abby Lee Miller. But anyway, this one is about this collegiate cheer team at Navarro College, which is a junior college, like 2-year, I guess, and not a university. And they're like typically first place at the national competition, and they just have like it's really random because it's like this small town and whatever, but they're like a really good.
But like the coach also is, I guess, probably really renowned.
Yeah, she's been there like forever, and she's very like tough but like lovable. I don't know. It's a really good docuseries. I watched it all the way through. Cameron watched bits of it while I watched it, and I showed him some good parts. I showed him the end, which is
I just
like,
wanted the highlight reel.
yeah, like
Sorry.
it follows them throughout the year
Mhm.
of preparing their whole routine and everything for the national competition. And they choose to focus on like several of the teammates, not like the whole team, but like it must suck to be one of those people that didn't get like become a character in the
Kind of.
No, you don't think?
I mean,
I would be like
don't
annoyed
know.
if I was just like,
just depends on the person. Like some people don't care. Some people might be upset about that.
I
Yes.
feel like most young people care.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, as a documentarian, they're going to just be getting as many interviews as they can. And then the producers at the end of it are going to be like, okay, this person's the best. This
Right.
person's the best. And just naturally, sometimes you don't get included in one of those, maybe because you're just not
That interesting.
that, or just your screen presence isn't as strong as others, or
Mm.
you don't articulate as well.
Yeah.
Like, there are a number of factors. And I remember working on a French documentary when I was at film school, and we had spent, I went down to Houston to help
yeah.
her film like 3 interviews, really serious ones at that. We spent a lot of time with it too. And I think she didn't use any of the interviews themselves. She only used B-roll from the interviews. So go figure, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I thought that some of the material was really strong and great, but
Right.
so and
It
I remember like
happens.
they drove like all the way from Houston to go to that premiere too. So
Oh,
you know,
no.
you can only imagine like how they felt, right? And
Ah.
I remember it being something where like initially that person was very resistant to being interviewed on screen. She was like, I'm not sure I want to do it. I'm not really feeling it. And then after a while, eventually she opened up and decided, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. But then, you know, look what happened. So
Oh,
I
that's
know.
like kind of awkward, but also like it's showbiz, right? But
Yeah.
but also like that I thought it was like I felt for like I was like, who's that guy? You know, like that's been there the whole time.
Well, that's what I think. Like, well, right. So I think that's the tricky
Mhm.
part about it is that you're right. Like, sometimes it could feel really bad if you went out of your way to open up on screen and then you realize you're not even included in the story. It's like, okay.
Right. So, but otherwise, it was it was a good docu series. It was interesting. I did not like the color correction on it. It was very desaturated, so it was like, I think to give it a serious tone we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But I prefer a little more. Like it went
I
kind
just-
of overboard.
I also just kind of feel like that's a trend for documentary, like
Yeah.
aesthetic. That I don't know. I don't really know what else to say about it,
I
but I
know.
see it commonly, and
Yeah.
maybe in some situations it makes sense, or for some material, but
Yeah. It's just not my thing.
like they definitely have the ability to saturate it more.
Exactly.
so-
Like it doesn't look like that in real
Yeah.
life. Like it's duller than real life, and that's hard to do on film. So that's my main problem with it. But everything else is really cool. It's really interesting because of the whole like how cheer is. It ends at the college level.
Mhm.
Like aside from like being like a cheerleader for like professional sports teams, but that's not the kind of like acrobatic and the type of cheer these people are doing. This is like Bring It On cheerleading, which is like a lot more intense, and the people on the dancers on sports teams are more like dancers that are cheering. But it's cool that cheerleading is having a resurgence, because I feel like Bring It On really, it's kind of our main like mainstream media material that depicts this type of cheerleading. And
That's dated.
it is. It's a while back, but it has held up. That's one of those like
Mhm.
2000s movies that holds up. It's all about appropriation.
Well, it's
which back
progressive
then,
for back then.
back then it wasn't even like the term that people used often, like cultural
Mhm.
appropriation and all that. So it holds up, and it's a great movie. And I think it seemed like respected still, like within the cheer world too and everything.
Nice.
But I feel like this docuseries is kind of reviving a little bit of that like mainstream attention on cheerleading
Cool.
for now.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was
All right.
interesting.
Well, and then so we've got this show, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. So this one is a lot more trash. So
Wait, did you say trash?
I said trash. Yeah.
I didn't know
It
you
is.
had that feeling about it.
You didn't?
You're watching it a lot for it being trash.
I watch trash too. We watch
Okay.
The Bachelor. Okay, so this is a show called Love Is Blind, which I've heard a little buzz about around the office actually, but like I haven't heard like my friends talk much about it or anything. And it's a really weird social experiment dating reality show.
It's a I mean, do you want to go into
the general premise?
We should probably explain the premise
because
if you haven't watched it.
Yeah, I don't want it to be out of context.
Can I explain it?
Sure.
All right.
Let's see if you follow.
I'll see if I get it. Well, like, it's weird because I actually, when they set it up initially at the beginning, I thought that the majority of the show was going to be the pods.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Like, I thought that was going to be the majority of the show, but turns out, no,
don't give too much spoilers, but yeah,
just an episode.
Spoilers for format a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I'm trying to explain the format is that, what the No, that's not a mat for you to sleep on.
She's trying to get on
the laptop. It's not a cat mat. Okay, so Love Is Blind is about this idea that, or trying to answer the question, is love blind, right?
Yes.
Like, can we fall in love with somebody without having to rely and see their physical appearance? So they split up equal number of men and women into these like separate, I guess, houses or dormitories, whatever. The point is that they don't see each other at all, and then they have these private rooms that they go into where they can talk to each other one-on-one through this wall, but they can't see each other through the wall. And they're really comfortable rooms. They're couches, they get super chilled, and they can drink and whatever. So they get like super comfortable and relaxed, and it's all about just talking to somebody. And so it's kind of like an interesting, similar-ish concept to The Circle, with how nobody could see each other except for the pictures they decided to put online, which were only a handful at that. Here, they don't even get any pictures. It's just all based, but they do get the voice, right? That's not something they get on The Circle.
So they can't like catfish, really. I mean, they can they can lie about themselves, I guess. But
they could.
Everyone's goal, it seems, is to be married, like ASAP.
Right. Well, so, and I mean, but I guess it's like super built into the concept or the structure of the show, which I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is that they're supposed to like propose, or the male at least seems to be required to propose really quickly.
Well, no, the goal is to see if you find someone in these pods, you switch off as much as they want, or it's kind of unclear. But
so it's like speed dating kind of, right? They can switch, they do switch between people. They cycle through all of the contestants, and over the first few days, they start to build connections and notes. They have a notepad. They have everybody has a journal, right? They're keeping notes for everyone. And I mean, for the most part, they seem to, the people that get decided on who they want to propose to, for the most part, it works out. Some of them kind of go back and forth, but and then like after a few days, it's like if you're feeling it, if you're feeling like this is the connection that you want and the person you want to spend the rest of your life with, then if you propose, then you'll get to see this person in real life. And I guess that's the part where we're at now, where they've already the people who have proposed have now seen each other, and now there's like they play out for the rest. So it's weird because Survivor is 39 days long. This one's 38 days long.
It's weird. So the whole goal of everyone there is to find someone to marry. I don't know why that's the goal, but like I guess they're all been unlucky in love and all that. So
but they're also like, young.
Well,
for the most part.
Most of
them.
The one good thing I'll give the show that it's doing is it is putting some people in their 30s on reality television, which is like, aside from like Survivor and singing shows and stuff like that, but like it's not that common to get dating shows with people in their 30s.
Well, but I'll also say this, which is what I think is a
30s and you 20.
Well, a critique I have of their show's format, especially of their premise of is love blind. Like, although yes, they do have different ages. For the most, like, I would say, like, everybody on there could qualify as a model of some kind, right?
Yeah,
Or like a
so
mainstream model. They're just from a physical standpoint, and a big part of the conflict in the show
premise.
is if this everybody's questioning, is this person going to be attractive or not when they meet them? Like, is that physical attraction going to be there, and are we going to be able to have that as well in addition to our emotional bond we've connected? And it's like, I think that if they had just done random casting or more like mixed up
so they really tried. They didn't sabotage them. I feel like as much as like a reality show should have, almost, like, because
well, like how The Circle had catfishes,
right? So like in this one, like all of the cast is like hot for the most part. Like, they're very conventional. Like, literally all the men have the exact same haircut, exact same facial hair. Like they're muscly, like, so it's kind of like, like none of them you expect to see each other and be like, oh my god. It's like on the actual show Catfish, where you like see the catfish and you're like, oh my god, they don't look anything like the photos, and they're very different. And here, like, they all look like the same level, like they look normal together, like two hot people getting together.
So that's my main critique of the show.
Yeah, the show didn't try to like actually mix it up and like try like, oh, what about overweight people, or like very like just not conventionally attractive people, or
like the aesthetic of the
even
men
different races.
Especially are very similar to everybody.
The men,
they
like,
almost all look the same.
If you're gonna watch this show, you will not be able to tell them apart. I'm pretty sure. Like, some of these guys, like, they all look literally the same.
And like all of the women are very prim and proper in a way. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like,
and they're like they have very nice like bodies, physiques, like skinny, like long blonde hair. A lot of that. So yeah, they really didn't mix it up as much as like the premise would lead you to believe.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not just like it seems. At first, we weren't sure. We thought like they would be in the pods the whole time, and the end would be like, do they fall in love or not? But it's really like they give them 2 weeks only in the pods, and they have to like propose then. And then once they get everyone who proposes, which not everyone in the show gets proposed to or ends up
proposing.
Yeah, proposing. So they get all the people that propose, and they move on with the show, like, bye everyone else. Like,
yeah, exactly. And that's just like the beginning to set up the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, what's all that time in between getting proposed to and having a wedding? Well, let's have that be part of the show too.
The wedding and the weddings is the actual finale of the show.
Right.
So now we're in the part where, like, it's after they propose, and they're exploring their physical connections.
The honeymoon.
Basically a honeymoon before the wedding, though. And they're, trying to figure out if it's going to work out. But they're all, like, the weird thing about the show, too, is, like, literally, like, 3 to 5 days into it, they're all, like, sold. Like, this is my soulmate, the love of my life. And it's like,
they are.
How? Like,
I know, especially for young people. I don't know.
Yeah, it's super weird. Like, I keep asking you if you would fall in love with me that quick, and he says no.
I know. At first, your reaction was like, bitch, and then I was like, take it as a compliment. Like, I thought about it.
Well, I know, but they all seem so sold on this. But anyway, it's pretty trashy, and it's also it comes out weekly.
Right. Well, that's so an interesting, I think, part of this in regards to Netflix is like Netflix had up to this point, I guess, really built a brand on all the content coming out immediately. Right.
Well, this
Don't make people wait.
This isn't the first.
Sure.
But yeah, it's less common for them to do this. But yeah, it comes out weekly. Maybe they're trying to like get on that Bachelor type weekly schedule. I don't know. But
well, no, but I mean, you and I have debated about this, and you've often taken the side of give it all to me now.
Yes.
And I've tried to argue with you that no, I like it. It creates a sense. It's an artificial scarcity, right? Phenomenon where they're trying to increase the value of it by making it more exclusive and more limited for what you can get. And it's like, if you have a schedule, then it's like, why? It's kind of like the difference of like having a multiple course meal as opposed to just having your appetizer, entree, and dessert all at the same time.
No. No, because
Not fair.
No, because no. Okay, so multiple course meals, you get them back to back, like multiple episodes.
Yeah.
So there you go. But yeah, so
Or like
I
having
don't
a daily
believe-
special at a restaurant. It's like, oh, I can only come that day for that favorite
well,
thing
I
that I
hate
like.
that. I hate that.
Oh,
I hate
makes
that at
sense.
Chewy's
Makes
because
sense.
like I always like the special of some other day
Oh.
at Chewy's. I swear.
Oh.
But yeah, so I definitely believe in binging and releasing it that way because that way, like, I get the whole picture, like, in one sitting or a few.
See, I'm a legacy kid that likes to be able to sit and think about what I just watched and then
But that doesn't
forget
actually
it
happen.
entirely by the time the next week comes around and appreciate the recap.
I don't want to. See, I don't want to forget it. Like, I just, you see it so much better, the whole, like, narrative arcs of everyone, you know. I love it. So, it pains me to watch Survivor, Superstore, Good
Everything
Place,
that
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
literally has ever been released
Well,
on
everything-
standard television.
I'm just saying everything I'm watching right now, like, it pains me to watch it weekly right now.
Also, what's your like final takeaways of the Love Is Blind show?
Well, I don't know yet because we haven't finished it. I don't think it's even fully out. But
Right.
it is trashy. I will give it that. It's more filling that void of trashy TV. I think The Circle is a little more like for the intellectuals, you know, like you can feel kind of intellectual watching it because you're like, oh, social media, you know, thinking about that.
Right.
But this one's like more just like trashy, like dating show. Like you could see it on MTV. I could see it on MTV.
I mean,
which MTV is the queen of trashy reality dating shows.
well, like I think that they both fall into that vein of experimental reality TV
It's
right
true.
now, which I guess Netflix is just trying to try any and everything in regards to that. So they're really just throwing the reins off and having a field day. But The Circle, you have many great points about that of why I think that it's just a little bit more believable and also
That too.
like interesting as opposed to this one where I feel like the
It's hard
concept
it's
is
hard
not
to
as
get
fleshed
behind.
out, and
Yeah.
if anything it feels contrived in the really restricted timeline that they've put this what is normally a year plus long process, you know.
It's just that's true. It's really hard to get behind and believe it. Even though I feel like we know reality TV is fake, we know that. But like so many shows make it seem so real that you believe it. You even The Bachelor. I'll give it to The Bachelor that, you know, they have a long Lena, no. Like the Bachelor has multiple weeks, and even then, like it's hard to suspend your disbelief on The Bachelor about him proposing at the end of it to someone for real and it lasting. But they try really hard to make it like their connection seem real. But even that, you can like, okay, I can kind of maybe believe they have some connection, you know. But this one is like, it's too crazy. It goes over the line of The Bachelor of like, you know, it's been 3 days and he's proposing, you know, and it's like, wait, that's not possible.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. So, I mean, that's kind of I don't really watch the show personally, but
Well, I just put it on when Cameron's on his phone looking up random stuff. And now I am curious to see how it ends. I feel like they're setting up like more soap opera-y kind of narratives now with like now they're drama between couples and they're still letting them mingle. So I feel like there's going to be cheating. I mean, I'm hoping.
Don't give away too much.
I'm just saying I'm hoping there's some cheating just for my own entertainment.
Yeah. Well, they seem to be building it up like there is. They want you to think that way, though.
Yeah,
right?
they
As
do.
the
They probably
audience.
won't. I don't know, honestly.
All right. Well, what else are we wanting to talk about?
Well, what about The Bachelor? The
What about
finale.
it?
The finale's coming up.
It went way too quickly. Like what? What the hell? At least.
Well, you know they're gonna stretch out that finale over like 2 episodes a week for like 3 more weeks.
What was it?
you know?
Colton? Colton's our last season. Was that his name?
The last Bachelor.
Yeah. Colton.
Mhm.
at least he, I don't know, seemed to take a really natural pacing towards his eliminations but now all of a sudden it's like dwindled down to 3 girls now. And I think it's only been 6 weeks or something.
Really?
Something. It's really short.
They scrunched episodes though. Remember they had multiple.
They did.
So I don't know what's going on. They hate Peter. Everyone hates Peter. He's stupid. Honestly, after the last episode, he made very poor decisions. And he's just dumb. And he's had a scar on his forehead the whole time. I think they're trying to get him out of there,
I think so too. I think that they're like, Peter, you messed this up, and we just gotta wrap this up as quickly as possible to move on to the Bachelorette.
Right. Who do you think's gonna be the Bachelorette?
Veronica F.
Her name's not Veronica.
Oh, I said Victoria?
Yeah. You
Victoria.
always call her Veronica.
You think it'd be Victoria?
Yeah. Or no, she's crazy. She's gonna be on Paradise for sure.
For sure. Okay. You don't think it'll be Hannah Ann?
Ugh, gross. Ugh. I can't. She
feel
looks
like
12. She looks like a child bride.
It's tough. I don't even like any of the Bachelorette options.
That's what me and my friends were talking about. No one likes them. The only option is Kelsey at this point, but she has very little charisma, and like she is always crying.
I felt the same way about Hannah B though. So.
Oh well, yeah, I fucking hated her.
Oh
but
wow. Hannah. So it's weird because like at first when Hannah B came on, she was very just like. An image, right? I felt like, and then she had her breakdown session with Colton, and then all of a sudden the real Hannah came out, and now all of a sudden she's just like this super. I don't know. She seemed to get really comfortable with the cameras all of a sudden.
I liked her. I think I dealt with her okay on The Bachelorette. Fine. I feel like they help them a lot. Like whoever the Bachelorette is, they help them a lot to have this image of like they're the goal and like the perfect, match to whoever. But yeah, I didn't like her, and the fandom seems to love her for being quirky, but like I don't see the quirks. Like I don't really see what they are, except for her like hissing. Remember when she was like she would like hiss in like the previews or something, like, but that was just weird. I don't know. I don't see the quirks that everyone's like she's lovable because she's weird, and I'm like, well, I don't see the weird very much. But also like weird in this world of like everyone being very similar is kind of like easy to be weird, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like I would like the attorney girl to be Bachelorette, but she's too real. Remember her?
No.
She was Kelly. She was the one that was like really confident in that last.
Oh,
and
I remember
she was
Kelly,
wearing like white pants, and she was like cold. She's like, I'm just cold.
She's the one that they had met prior.
Before,
right?
yeah. And that's why she was so confident. But she was the only normal type person.
Yeah,
there.
true.
I want them to.
But that, like, it sucks because I feel like that's also the reason why she wasn't ready to commit as quickly as Peter was, right? Or why she was holding back, because she
was realistic.
She realized how fabricated the entire show was. So
Yeah, totally.
the experience. Well,
I feel like, I don't know.
So I mean, it's enjoyable. I'll be excited for when it's done, and we can move on.
To the Bachelor.
I had high hopes for Peter. Like, I still
I
like.
do too.
There's a part of me that still likes Peter. I think I'm also biased just to pilots in general. I think pilots are cool, and I mean, my hat's off to him because he's still really young, but like he went through all that training to get it done. And it's just funny because I think that was a huge part of his sellability for the whole season, right? Because they had they themed it all around aviation, which I thought it was really cool, but I think also you're right. Like the producers are just over it. I mean, because he damaged his beauty
it seems
very early in the show.
That too, but also Bachelor Nation seems to be really against him in general, just because of his poor decisions.
Yeah,
I think. We watched this old TV movie that had Bradley Cooper in it when he was really young, and like
that was really interesting.
It was interesting, and
I'd recommend it if you have Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's called Reality of Love or something like that, and it's basically like Bradley Cooper and this other guy.
Yeah, it's like a TV movie, right?
Yeah,
It's like got to be early 2000s, before Hangover, before Wedding Crashers.
Yeah, it was Bradley
Cooper
was just
nobody.
Yeah, he was just a guy in a TV movie.
Yeah.
and
you know that because all the other actors are kind of nobodies.
I feel like the main guy is someone that I've seen in other things too. But yeah, like no one else is that famous. And basically they make like a Bachelor for this celebrity to rehab his image as the Bachelor.
Which is kind of like the comeback, right? So it's blending elements of the comeback. In terms of like a famous-ish person going on a reality show, right?
But it's more to rehab his like Playboy image, I guess. And he's like losing parts because he's too much of a player or party guy. I don't know what. And it's really interesting because it's pretty much exactly The Bachelor. It's like made to look like it's clearly inspired by The Bachelor too. And the one thing that's different, which would be really interesting in real life, is that he has no say in what girl goes home, but America votes on who goes home and who stays. So like imagine what that show would be just in Peter's season. Who would be there right now? I feel like none of the girls that are there right now would be there.
Right, exactly.
America would have chosen very differently.
It's strange because I think that like when reality TV was starting, I mean, Survivor was democratic, right? Like it let the people vote, or when I say the people, I meant the contestants, right? Big Brother, right? The America vote, which I don't know if that's still the case, but American Idol was like the huge one where America votes. But now it seems like in the 2010s onward, there's been a shift to be like, no, we're going to take the power away from the people, actually. And but I think like,
and then you get dumb decisions like Peter.
Well, exactly. I mean, I wonder if the voting scandal of Adam Lambert's American Idol season had anything to do with that.
Oh, did they mess up?
Well, I mean, it was just like, it seemed like Adam Lambert was the obvious like winner. Like he should have gotten the votes to win. And there's just been there's been controversies, like those who have researched into that those few weeks of like how the show was advertising the final contestants and how versus how judges were even talking about them. And it's like they like the judges, I feel like it was one of the reasons why one of them, you're right, that
was definitely like
there was that aspect to it. And I think that it may have been the reason why Paula decided to, maybe even Simon decided to like not participate as much into the show because they felt like they were robbed out of the final winner in that decision. So I don't know.
Well, because like the winners often just depend on the company that's sponsoring the prize, or like
yeah, exactly,
and they have to fit the image of
the
company, which that's how Top Model worked. Like pretty much CoverGirl would pick the winner, you know. And it was important to please them because I mean that's they have the money, they have the prize, the record deal, whatever it is.
So I think that was a huge part of it. They didn't want to lose sponsorships and stuff like that. And there's like theories about it also being around the 2008-09 election and the financial crisis and things like this. And it's like all these factors all blending together where apparently, I guess the show, it was like one of the last seasons where they were high in their ratings, and the show just kind of diminished ratings after that.
Wow.
So I don't know. It's just an interesting, I think, like peak moment in reality TV, and then kind of like after that point there seems to be some transitions that happen, and also like it gets more diversified too. I think the field of reality TV, cable starts to really jump in. And
true. Well, yeah, I wish we had the power for Peter. I think we could make better decisions, but that's not how it works anymore.
Are there other bits of media you like to talk about? For me, the season 2 of Chapter 2 Fortnite came out just the other day, and so far it's real interesting. Pretty cool. They brought back some items from the vault, which is awesome. And also, They're I guess like they are trying to include more how do I say, like mission based type of gameplay inside the main game. So that's interesting. I haven't yet to really play it all the way out, but so I've been having fun with the new season. Yeah.
I'm kind of excited or thinking about getting Animal Crossing, which is coming out for the Switch, I believe, in March.
Cool.
Because I mean, I'm hoping I haven't played. I've never owned an Animal Crossing. I think I've played like at a friend's house, before, and that's it. But I'm hoping it's kind of like the same trend as Pokemon, where Pokemon has gotten a lot more user friendly with like the really nice graphics and stuff, and that's what it seems like. This Animal Crossing is really getting more towards that, being like a little easier and like it's very cool, and all the little snippets I've seen, like very cool scenes or like there's like a big aquarium and stuff, like really cute, like elaborate parts of your town or village, whatever it is. So it's kind of enticing me because it's cute, it's my aesthetic. I feel like it fits within my brand of like things I would like, but I've never liked it that much because it does take a lot of patience. It's like more of a time-based game. It's like one where you like visit your town and this day this happens and the next day this happens kind of thing. So it's not like a just straight through like Pokemon game,
Yeah, I'm excited to watch you play it. It
We'll
could
see.
probably get me interested in it too. So.
Yeah.
So something that Zelenny tries to get me more into is playing the new Pokemon game, which I'm just out of a loyalty to the original 151 Pokemon.
Yeah. Cameron is a Gen 1er.
I am. Wow.
Pokemon.
You just said that on air
I
about
did.
me.
Well, it's the truth.
Well, so yeah, and I got the hair to show for it.
Yeah,
well,
you do.
So I don't enjoy playing any of the new Pokemon games because I don't believe in any of the new Pokemon. I don't think that they actually exist. They're just
they exist.
They're just holographic Pokemon
But don't you
that
think
Team Rocket want us to believe
Oh my
exist in order to
God.
distract us from their plot.
Wow. Do you think don't you think it's like exciting when you like when you're in the grass and you encounter something and every time it's just something you've never seen before though? Like,
well, I am. That's
kind of
a part of it
exciting.
that's exciting, and yeah, I mean that's why I was gonna go with this is that I am enjoying it, having a lot of fun learning about new Pokemon and learning some of the new mechanics, and also a lot of the horrible aspects of the Pokemon games that I used to play as a Gen 1er have been addressed. Probably due to fan reactions over the years.
Addressed.
Yeah,
too.
So I mean, I'm very used to only the Pokemon that you use in battle getting experience points at the end of it. Very used to that. Yeah. And I'm also not used to your Pokemon getting experience when you catch a Pokemon.
That's new, by the way.
So that's pretty cool. And so they just make it easier to level up Pokemon. And there's also like, I can't remember. Well, I mean, I really like that I can like read the description of moves before switching them out, which is really handy.
There's a lot in this.
So that's
game
just like
that's user friendly.
Yeah,
a lot.
A number of the features that I've really enjoyed.
I feel like you can transfer to PC like from just wherever you are too, and stuff like that. It's a lot of stuff. The new Pokemon game is very user friendly, and the graphics are awesome. I love my favorite thing ever is the Pokemon being overworld, which means like you see them in the grass. That's a new thing too, which is like you can avoid them, you can run into them, you can look for the ones you want for
That's
the
very
most
true.
part, and I love that. Like that's a huge game changer for me, and I'm glad they kept it because it was a big theory that it would stay within Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which was the remake of the original. Which you should play that one if you're a Gen 1er. That's
should.
That's literally the Gen 1 game remade with like the graphics and
Of
ease
today.
of now. Yeah.
I really should.
Which I have it, so you can play.
Yep. Well, I had started playing Pokemon Ruby Red or whatever,
Ruby Red.
or Leaf Green. I can't remember.
RuPaul's
Which was a
character.
remake of the original, and I was enjoying that, but then I stopped.
Oh, Fire Red, you mean?
Fire Red, right? Yeah.
Ruby Red is RuPaul's character in AJ and the
I
Queen.
was playing it on a website that had like an emulator of all of them.
I did that too in college. But yeah, I didn't get that far.
So something I'm excited for is the release of the redesigned Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, you are?
Of course.
You didn't tell me about it.
Well, we watched the trailer. Sophie knows.
Oh, we did?
Yes.
Okay, well, I don't...
And there are more trailers now. Apparently there's
I'm
like 4 more trailers that I want to watch now.
I'm not familiar with the franchise. But see, anime theme.
Is it? It is. Oh, yeah, hugely.
Is it come out this year?
Yes.
When?
April.
April. Okay.
From what I
That's soon.
heard. Yeah, exactly. I'm really excited. It should be really awesome.
Wow.
And it's amazing. I mean, I think, well, it's not necessarily unheard of at this point, I guess, but it's definitely something for a game that is over 20 years old for them to decide that the fan base and loyalty was strong enough and worth it to them to completely update it and redesign it in modern ways, but like holding onto the same story and game mechanics is huge.
Wow. Well, for PlayStation?
Yeah, it's a Sony game. So.
Oh, okay.
Or not Sony. It's a Square Enix game, but they have a license with Sony.
I get so confused with like Final Fantasy and the other one that was Nintendo with like the Disney, or not Nintendo, but with
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, I get those two confused because it's the same characters.
Well, Kingdom Hearts is more like Smash Bros in the sense where like they have gotten the license from all of these various IPs to include in their narrative, right? So I mean, I feel like Kingdom Hearts at the end of the day was a Disney product. That what was that on PlayStation? I guess it was on PlayStation, but I think it was also on other platforms too. It wasn't just exclusive to PlayStation. I just can't totally remember, but that's what Kingdom Hearts is. It's more in the vein of something like Smash Bros, where although Smash Bros doesn't really have narrative, right? Kingdom Hearts has narrative, but in the sense that it borrows from many different franchises and characters. But Final Fantasy is not like that. Final Fantasy is, and even like I think what's confusing maybe is that there's something like 15 or 16 Final Fantasies now, but each game is unique. Like each game has its own unique story and characters.
Oh,
like
it's not the same characters?
No.
What? It's
not
like an anthology.
Yeah, it's well, and I mean that's what's kind of I think one of its features is that like every edition of it, and that's why it doesn't come out annually. But like every edition, it has its own.
Most things don't though.
Characters
It's big games.
Yeah.
Because they take so long.
Right. So the only Final Fantasies I've really played were 7, 8, and 10. I didn't like 8 that much. But I loved 7, and I mean 7 is the.
What is it? What is the gameplay like? PvP, like swords and stuff.
PvP. I don't know exactly how to explain it. It's it's probably well defined in their terms for the style of gameplay. It's
okay.
Well, so
you don't have to
first
answer.
off, it's RPG. It's RPG. So your characters level up just like your Pokemon do, right? But and like is the Pokemon game considered PvP?
No.
Okay.
PvP.
It's more of the
think
Pokemon
that means
style.
like sword fighting or fist fighting, but I don't know.
So it's not. It's not quite like that. It's not like Smash Bros, right? It's more. It really is like Pokemon, where your Pokemon has a term. In this case, Final Fantasy, your character has a turn, and you can select like, do you want to use an item for that character in that turn? Do you want to use a move? What move do you want to use?
Is it like a Mortal Kombat?
I've never played Mortal Kombat, so no. Mortal Kombat's more arcade style of like that Smash Bros.
Okay.
Style, as far as I know. So Final Fantasy
it's
really
turn-based.
Yeah, it's turn-based.
That's weird. I feel like I would like it then.
You probably would.
Because I don't like. That's what I can't handle, like the mechanics of like
combat.
quick combat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I just can't. I can't
Well, no,
move that
it's
fast.
it's more a little more real time strategy, a little bit. I think like what was I can't say this for all of the Final Fantasies. I think they've changed it for various titles. So like the first Final Fantasy I played was Final Fantasy X, and in Final Fantasy X there was no time limit on when you could make your move. It was like you could take as much time as you want as long as it was your character's turn to move. You called it turn based.
Yeah.
You could take as long as like you could literally leave that screen on and go away for a day, come back, and it would still be that character's turn. Final Fantasy VII, however, which was years before Final Fantasy X, there was a time limit. Like it was all very real time, and if you didn't make your move, then the opponent characters would attack you, even though it was still your move to move. Like, so it didn't like kind of pause the gameplay. But it's also what made it created more sense of urgency, and like you had to think quicker. And I think that the true Final Fantasyers or whatever, they appreciate that style.
Okay.
Because it makes you challenge.
It's still nice. Like for me, I would like that. I can't handle real time like combat.
Right.
That's why I like Pokemon.
But like, can you imagine Pokemon being like,
right,
you're in the middle of trying to decide your turn, and then you get attacked.
I'm good with that because I'm good at making quick decisions.
You are right. Well, and I think you would like Final Fantasy, especially 7, because it's all about that.
And the remake, that's the remake.
Yeah.
Oh.
But like, what's cool about the game format is unlike Pokemon, where you have usually one, maybe two. In the modern ones, you have 2 versus 2.
Oh right.
You're dealing with 3 characters at once.
Okay. They're all enemies.
No. You have 3 characters on your team.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So you're not just playing one character. You have.
Is it like The Sims?
No. No. So
are you God or what?
No.
Okay.
Well, so you control the protagonist, and your main character is the protagonist of that game, right? And so that's who you start in the game with. But then as you progress, you go from village to village, right? And then your story progresses. You meet new characters, and some of them end up joining your team. And so at the beginning of the story in your map, you'll start off with this one character. By the end of the game, you could have 7 or 8 characters that have joined your party. But at any given time during gameplay, you only have control of up to 3. And it usually has to be 3, I think, that are always on the field. And you can swap them out. You choose them.
That sounds just like Pokemon. Did they rip them off?
Pokemon may have ripped off Final Fantasy.
No, it did not.
Because I'm pretty sure Final Fantasy came before Pokemon.
I'm worried. Like, what if? Did you actually played these games?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you just?
No, I mean I know I'm able to explain it because
are gamers gonna write us emails?
No.
About how inaccurate we portrayed.
I wasn't a hardcore gamer, but I played them enough to like I can't get into the story so much, and that's why I'm not quoting the story that much, because I would definitely get flack for that. But in terms of the gameplay, I mean, that's what I loved so much about it. The mechanics are really cool. And, well, it's like a thing where you have, and it's a little bit more similar to that Overwatch style where you have like a healer, a tank, and an attack. And that's kind of the basic of how you would often structure your 3-person team that you're doing these turn-based moves with, is that, you know, you have your one person that deals the most damage, and then on the next character that has the next turn, you might heal that person that just is getting all of the damage taken, right, for the team. And your healer eventually will have a move to heal all 3 of them at once, and that kind of thing. And so yeah, it's really fun.
I'm excited too now about this remake.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, because the original Final Fantasy VII is extremely pixelated. It was designed at like 360p. Like, it's super small resolution. I see. I mean, it was revolutionary when it had came out because it was one of the first, if I'm not mistaken, on PlayStation especially, the first like kind of 3D-esque world game. Like whereas in Nintendo they had Mario and Zelda, really mainly Mario, I think, being the first 3D
Because
simulated
the first
game.
Zelda was just like 3 pixels moving around,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, and same with Final Fantasy. Like
Okay.
the first initial Final Fantasies were like that too.
Oh.
But Final Fantasy 7, it's like, it's a big like staple for the PlayStation platform during that late 90s period, and it was a big deal in terms of like the cartridge versus the CD debate, because Nintendo, they had a lot of compromise that they had to do by choosing to do cartridges versus CDs, and Sony took a huge risk by wanting to be the first video game manufacturer to have it based on CD-ROMs. And the limitation, I mean, there were a lot of limitations. I can't remember the details, but it was like a cartridge was, I think that they sacrificed storage in order to have better graphics, maybe something like that. But also, it had to do with load times. I know that the cartridges, what made them like one of their biggest selling points was they had virtually no load times, because the system could like access what's on the cartridge like almost immediately, as opposed to a ROM. It had the physical limitation of it spinning, where like the system had to access the information and find it, and it created load screens. And so that was Sony's criticism, right? Was that they chose a thing where all of their, and I remember it being an issue for me for me, I grew up on Nintendo, and as a kid, it was my first console, and so I got very used to not having load screens, and I was really aggravated when I went over to my stepbrother's, which is where I was introduced to Final Fantasy on his PlayStation, and I remember being so annoyed at having to wait for these load screens. It's like anytime you went into a new room, you had to wait 10-15 seconds for it to load.
Really? Oh.
And it wasn't like that at all in Nintendo. You go to a new room and it boop boop, it like pops up.
Right.
And I mean, nowadays with games, those load screens are pretty quick, but the contrast was that Sony could store much more information on a CD-ROM, and so their stories were able to usually be a lot more in depth, and the games could be a lot longer. And for something like Final Fantasy, the story was so long, like it's a very long story, so much so that they had to put it onto 3 CDs.
Oh, I remember those days.
And yeah,
the first Nancy Drew game was split up into 2 CDs.
Really?
Yeah.
and so it's like, and I'm sure they just got like so much like leading up to the release, people were being like, nobody would ever invest or want to play a game where you had to switch out CDs and stuff like that. But I mean, it was an example of how the story sold it. Like people wanted to keep playing it, and so yeah.
Story is everything.
Yep.
We know that. That's story is everything.
And so that's really like as opposed, like, you could look at the gameplay mechanics, the graphics, and all of that it also was revolutionary for, but the story aspect of it, like, I don't know if there had been a story, like, as long of a story in a game before then, and that's a large part of why I think it still has the success. It's often considered, like, of all the Final Fantasies, like, one of the best stories.
Wow.
So
that's cool. I didn't know all that about it. I don't know. I didn't know much about it except for like Kingdom Hearts having characters from it, like, and I was getting.
Cloud is also on Smash Bros.
Right.
He's the protagonist. His name is Cloud. Final Fantasy 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Cloud on Smash Bros.
I know.
He's the protagonist of.
But he's only from that one.
Yeah.
Okay, because you said they change every time.
They do.
See,
right.
I would have never guessed that. Yeah. I would have thought he was like the Link,
right.
of all of them,
Well, I mean, to that note, though, the aesthetic they choose for all their main characters is very similar. So, I mean, like, they pretty much only change the hair color, but usually the hairstyle, him being a slim white person or a slim light-skinned person, excuse me,
yeah,
is always the same.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, usually male, too. So I think a few of them have a female protagonist, but...
Well, I'm excited to...
Yeah.
Play that remake. You're gonna get it You're not gonna forget about it?
I'm not gonna forget about it. I would like to play it.
Okay.
I'd also like to replay Final Fantasy X. I really think you'd like Final Fantasy X too. I mean, because there's also very magical elements in these games. I mean, that's why it's called fantasy.
Well, it's like it's an anime thing.
Yeah.
It's just we want magic right now. We want fantasy.
Yeah.
We want pretty colors.
So what's cool, I guess, is in the Final Fantasy VII and all of them, but you can like all of the weapons that you can choose for your characters are highly customizable.
Ooh, okay.
And so
oh god, is it like you have to choose your points, go to this or that kind of thing?
So that's how it is in Final Fantasy X.
Okay.
In Final Fantasy VII, I don't think it's quite as much like
those
that.
Those decisions, like, I'm so confused every time. Like, I don't know, put it to strength or to defense or, you know.
So in 10, like it was definitely like that, but it was like a totally different type of system. In 7, though, I think it's just more about, like, you get access to different ones as you level up. But I mean, there's like you do have to make decisions of like, do you want your like sword for this character to contribute, you know, XYZ to their attributes. But it's all very customizable, and you can switch them out too. From what I remember, it's like you don't have to stay locked into that for that weapon. Like you can switch it out based on what you want per character. So, like if you want your healing character to suddenly have strong attack, then you could do that in theory.
I didn't expect a Final Fantasy lesson today, but that's cool.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, it's real cool. And like I said, the story is just where it's at. So,
Oh, Lena, it's getting on the table again.
So yeah, I mean that's what I'm excited about coming out soon. Anything else?
Drag Race comes out this week.
Oh,
Friday.
I had no idea. I totally forgot.
Yeah, Friday night, which is stupid, but whatever.
I'm not gonna be here, but
oh yeah,
oh well.
That's sad.
I'll have to rewatch it.
We can catch up.
I'll be here for Survivor though.
Thank God. Yeah, we can watch Saturday morning with Drag Race again. But yeah, like. I hate it being Friday, but I like that I can at least catch up Saturday morning pretty quick. Because when it was on Thursdays, that was the one bad thing. If I didn't catch it live, like if I had a outing or something, I would have to like wait till I got home from work on Friday to watch it instead of just watching it in the morning. And, you know, I'm like, I need to watch it. So I'm excited that it's starting finally. It was a long break of Drag Race, which the fans asked for, but they didn't think they would get it, so now
they're complaining that they got such a long break.
So it was a good break.
Typical.
All Stars is coming to Showtime instead.
Oh,
RuPaul's Drag.
Right.
I think that's why it got delayed, because usually All Stars comes out right before the main season. And I think they delayed it because they signed a deal with Showtime, like the cable Showtime. And it comes out in the summer. But like, that's kind of a big deal right now because it's like a big paywall. It's behind for all these people that don't have that. So
makes sense.
It might be a big bar season where people go to bars more for it. Or I don't know.
That's actually a good point, because I know for the actual Drag Race, they moved it to. Never mind. So what night is All Stars?
I don't know. I don't know. Let me double check. But also, like.
So they moved the main show over to Friday nights,
which sucks for the bars.
Because they are able to usually like get more attendance for their clubs during the weeknights with these shows, being able to premiere them and show them. But now it's like Friday night is already going to be a popular night, so they're losing a night of revenue.
The show airs early, but still, like, it's just messed up to the bars. Like, they could have more customers on a Thursday instead
I feel like they just didn't think that out.
Well, I feel like they don't care because they know. But anyway, All Stars also on Friday.
Go figure.
June 5th, it comes out. So Drag Race on Friday now forever.
I guess so. At least in 2020.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying. But I'm excited. It's finally arrived this week.
Well, it's really cool. We've talked about movies, TV shows, and games on this episode, and I didn't expect to learn and discuss as much as we did, so kudos.
Yeah, you too.
Well, who knows what's going to come and be our background next week. But
like my
I hope you
Titanic
cleared
shirt.
the rights for that. What if we get banned or
I know, right? I mean, I never know with
I'm
these
just kidding.
copyright is so annoying, intense.
That's
It's
the
just-
moon. That's the moon of Sailor.
There you go.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess if you have any comments or want to get reach out to us, we're accessible on Twitter, Instagram, and email.
And now we're on YouTube. I think I've decided we're
Mm.
just on YouTube for right now because we're busy and I'm not trying to make this more work than it needs to be. So now we're on YouTube. So like and subscribe.
Yeah.
If you like us and want to support, comment if you have comments.
Thumbs up if you like it. Subs if you love it.
Okay. Are you stealing that from someone? You can't have
Yes.
other people's
I
outros.
know. I'm just kidding. I stole that from. I think his name's Dave Lee.
I don't
He's
know.
a tech commentator,
Of course.
and yeah.
Well, yeah. So like and subscribe if you like this. Email us at hikeybookclub@gmail.com.
We got some
If you
food
have
to get
requests. Yeah, we do. We're gonna eat some pizza. Pizza
Oh.
hands. Can you believe it? That's
Had to
callback to
save
our
it.
first episode.
Yeah, had to save it for the end after
Yeah.
recording.
And they're asking me about Overwatch, playing Overwatch with you. So.
Oh, just
Yeah.
recently?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we gotta jump in. We got games to get to, y'all.
Yeah.
Wait, did I miss the train?
No.
Okay,
you
good.
didn't. They're taking showers and stuff.
Okay, good. I should have done that. All
All
right.
Oh, they're going to. Okay, sorry.
Well, so until next week, you'll be hearing from us.
Yes.
Cue the music.
Hold on. It's coming. We need a soundboard.
What? Yeah, we do. Oh.